everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. This is Buy Now Sell Now Weekend. I'm Wwatch.
Great to have you all with us. I'm Megha Chadha. Well, this is the show, of course, where we try to get all your stock-related questions answered. So let's take you through what we'll be discussing over the next half an hour. First up, we'll be taking on board your questions on the IT space. So HCL Tech as well as TCS will be discussed.
Not just that, we'll also have our portfolio advisor segment. So Shreya Shah's portfolio up for discussion.
Okay, good time then to introduce the two equity guests who are joining in on the show now. We've got Gaurang Shah, a Vice President at GOG BNP Paribas Financial Services. He joins in to take us through the fundamentals of all the stocks we'll be discussing. And to talk technicals then, we've got Kunal Saragi, CEO of EquityRush.com. Gentlemen, great to have you both with us. Let's focus then on the first question for the day, which comes in on HCL Tech. In fact, both our queries for today have been sent in from B.N. Ruparel, who's a doctor in Mumbai. His first question's on HCL Tech. Let's hear him out.
I have sold 100 shares of HCL at the rate of 14.25. What will be the right time to repurchase my scripts? Or should I avoid it altogether? I am a long-term investor.
Okay, an interesting query posed by Mr. Ruparel here, given that I'm sure a lot of other people also want to know whether or not this is a ripe time to enter into the IT space, particularly some of the large cap counters. So let's start off with you then, Gaurang. HCL Technologies, the counter posted a fairly good set of numbers. Lots of people are talking about the prospects within this sector also improving. But given the recent volatility, do you think that right now would be a good time to enter into the stock, or should he just put off the idea altogether?
Yeah, so I guess as a disclosure, first of all, we do have a positive coverage on HCL Tech as well as TCS and Infosys, Tech, Mahindra, CMC Limited and Personal System Mindtree. Now with that disclosure, looking at the outlook and of course the past numbers that the IT sector and of course HCL Tech has delivered, we believe that run rate of good performance is definitely going to continue. And then you throw in a little bit of positivity in terms of global recovery, and of course you have a strong, stable government at the center in India, in the domestic market. Then even the domestic performance of the company is definitely going to improve, and this is of course for the entire IT sector altogether. So in our view is that he sold it at 14.25 or 14.50 odd, and the stock is trading somewhere close to about those levels. I think it would be a prudent idea to get into HCL Tech with a longer term time horizon, as he already has. And as a disclosure, we do have 1 year target of about 1700 on HCL Tech.
Okay, so Mr. Ruparel, though the stock's really not done too much over the last month or 3 months also, but Gaurang believes that this is probably a good level to enter in as well. 1700 is the target that he's talking about. And, talking about the IT space, really the results have been a bit mixed. While, you did see the top line growth being a bit, muted, a bit mixed. However, it was the margins that were clearly in focus. We did see, good growth coming in on the margin front, and that was for just about every IT major. Not just that, even the mid-cap space was extremely active. But if you just look at, the technicals, just look at the charts alone, like I said, not too much that's happened with an HCL Tech over the last couple of months, but over the last, 6 months or so, at least the stock's given you good returns. It's above that 1400 mark very comfortably. Kunal, are you seeing this as a good entry point, or would you wait for a further dip if one wants to enter?
Megha, if you look at this particular stock since January this year, you find that the stock has been stuck in a range, and the range is between 1350 and 1550. And I don't really see the stock going beyond these levels in a hurry. I think it's going to be a long wait. But since the investor, I think, is sold at the current levels, the stock is overall poised positively. And I think this is a sector that is not correlated with what happens in the elections. So I think definitely you could go out and buy. And if, in case markets were to go down, there's some bit of uncertainty, this stock could go back to 1500, 1550 levels. And that, I think, would be a good place to take profits. But for now, I think you could look to buy the stock. 1350 should be your stop loss. 1550 is your target.
Okay, very clearly, Mr. Ruparel, both of our analysts are fairly upbeat on this stock, HCL Technologies. Gaurang talks about long-term targets of 1700, and Kunal also advised that on the technical charts, this one does look strong. Keep a stop loss at levels of 1350 on the charts. Well, let's move on then to the next query. Here are what Mr. Ruparel has to say on TCS.
100 shares of TCS at the rate of 2125, what will be the right time to repurchase my scripts? Or should I avoid it altogether? I am a long-term investor.
Okay, so Mr. Ruparel's question more or less remains the same. It's a stock that's different though. It's TCS that he's talking about now. And, you know, what a turnaround this counter's also seen. Of course, the longer term charts and the longer term story for TCS has been very different from an Infosys over the last 12 to 18 odd months. What is your, take on the not just the earnings that came out, but even in terms of the future trajectory, Gaurang, that the management's talking about, and within the IT space, instead of a TCS, do you think it's probably a good idea for one to also look at a couple of mid-cap names?
Well, I think we've already recommended HCL Tech, so I would say that TCS would definitely be a fair choice over here. Given the fact that post the numbers we saw the stock take a knock sub 2200, I guess that's when Dr. Ruparel would have sold it off. Currently trading at somewhere close to about 2225 or 2250. Now you throw in again the negativities in terms of the quarterly earnings that we saw last, and the concern on margin fronts, at least from the short to medium term point of view, that both the management of TCS as well as Infosys has given a guidance. I think the negativity is already priced in both the counters. From 2200 or 2250 where the stock is traded right now, your downside is extremely protected. You would end up buying it a little bit higher than what you have sold it. But given the fact that we have targets of about 2550 with a longer term 1 year time horizon, I think it will be prudent to buy the counter of TCS at current market price.
Okay, fundamentals boding well when it comes to TCS, and you can watch out for some long-term targets on this one, Mr. Ruparel. But let's also find out how Kunal assesses this one on the charts. And like we flagged off earlier, that the trajectory has been fairly different on this one vis-a-vis something like an Infosys. The fundamentals do seem to be sound, but Kunal, do you think that the technicals mirror that? Would these levels right now on TCS be a good time to enter into the counter, or should he wait for a little bit of a correction?
I think the prognosis for TCS is pretty much the prognosis for HCL Tech. I think the overall structure for this one is very positive. And I think although there is very stiff resistance at 2375, and that I think should be the investor's target. If you get that level, for now at least take profits and exit. But I think this is a good time to enter into the stock or re-enter. Put a stop loss at 2100, look to buy the stock at the current levels. 2350, 2375 can be a target.
So that's the consensus view, Mr. Ruparel, on both your IT queries. That's on HCL Tech, TCS. We've seen, these stocks consolidate over the last couple of months, but both our experts agree that these are probably good levels to start accumulating once again, and you could be looking at further upsides from the current level.